So we're ready for our second artist, Daniella Woolf, and we're very pleased and excited to see what she has to show us. And what I want to say about Daniella is she was gifted with a culturally rich childhood, grew up amidst a family with a prop shop business that provided a vast array of decor and furnishings for Hollywood set productions. This stirred an endless imagination to translate into her future creations of multiples in textile art. And about her work, Daniella writes, and I quote, "In my practice, I work at organizing chaos, transforming and honoring the energy within the materials. The elements that inform my work are strong verticals, repetition, language, and messages revealed and concealed. The work is rich in process, paying homage to materials that are no longer in use, including such things that were once ubiquitous in our society and now rendered obsolete. Family artifacts and ephemera are a part of my obsession." So go for it. Thank you so much, Daniella, for being here.
Thanks, Rosie. Okay, there we go. So the question came up when I did this presentation, why is my work so ungepachka when my aesthetic is so minimal? And ungepachka is a Yiddish word, which means too much of everything, like too many tchotchkes in the curio cabinet, too many notes, too much stuff. So I grew up in LA in a movie biz family, and we did escape lots of weekends to our mountain cabin, which was in Lake Arrowhead, which you see on the left. I'm about 4 with my mom. And then one of my dad's clients was Disney, and we got to go to opening day at Disneyland in 1955. And we went there a lot period. My dad opened up his own prop house in the late 40s and then moved to a giant 10,000 square foot warehouse in the late 60s. And he had floor to ceiling, everything that you could use in movies, TV, print media. And it was a very fascinating place to grow up. One of my favorite things in his shop was this Native American breastplate, and I see evidence of that in my work. My grandparents were extras in the movies. On the right, you see them as Tyrolean or Bavarian people, and my grandpa was on the Perry Mason show for 10 years in the jury box, either in focus or out of focus. And every week we'd look for grandpa and see where was he. On my dad's desk were all these fantastic books like The Styles of Ornament and History of Furniture and Antiques. And I used to look at them a lot as a kid. And we went to the Civic Light Opera, we went to musicals, we went to theater, and still stuck in my memory is the set from Oliver, which rotated and revolved. And I've always loved that human forms in relationship to large scale things. And we always went to the LA County Art Museum. We were members and we got all the books from the shows. So it was kind of a culture vulture family. This is an oil pastel of my dad driving our 56 Chevy station wagon. This is the library that I grew up going to. It's the North Hollywood Public Library, and now there is a statue of Amelia Earhart out in front. And yeah, a lot of the colors that I use, there's a lot of geometry in my work. My mom was always knitting, crocheting, or needle pointing. I heard a really great term this last weekend She was a devoted amateur, so she never stopped her fingers going all the time. And I definitely have that DNA. On the right is me as a surly teenager, my first year at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. I went to grad school at UCLA in fiber, and this book was one of my favorite things. This was my mistress. I would go to the library whenever I was on campus and look at this book, The Grammar of Ornament. It was published in 1856, and in the 1970s it was out of print. And now I have my own copy, and it goes through all the civilizations and the patterns that they developed. In grad school, all my work was crocheted. On the far left is Forest, which is 600 pounds of sisal jute and manila that were fiber reactive dyed. In the middle is crocheted picture framing wire, and on the right is crocheted everything white and off-white. I even made a dress so that I could be camouflaged within my own artwork. And on the right, you can see the articulation of the dome, all those crocheted pieces.
Wow.
The next year, I got a spread in the LA Times magazine, and they made me into Modigliani Girl. That piece went to the Tapestry Biennale in Lausanne, Switzerland in 1975, and I got to go there and set it up. Then I was hired by Public TV in LA to do a cyclorama for a sound stage, which was 400 running feet by 22 feet high. It used 10,000 yards of burlap, which were fireproofed, and I had the entire IATSE union doing all the work for me, and me just saying, do this, do that, do this, do that. And then I did it in silk for the Bonaventure Hotel in LA. This was a piece, a crocheted piece for Blue Cross of Southern California. It used thousands and thousands of these nest forms. I would do another 100, think I was done, and that would get swallowed up, and then another 100 and another 100. It seemed like it would never end. Then in 2000, I found encaustic, and I had this giant love affair for close to 20 years with beeswax. This is sewn eucalyptus leaves that are dipped in encaustic. I started teaching encaustic. I taught for R&F Paints, which is a paint maker in all the Western states. And then I taught independently in Italy, in Australia, in Canada, and the Netherlands. This is on Whidbey Island, and my darling Shannon is here today. I saw her. Then Judy Stabile and Wendy and I started Waxworks West, and we had a blast for, I don't even remember how long, 10 years. They were the most fabulous business partners anybody could have. We went to Korea. We gave a presentation on paper and encaustic in Korea. We had a state-of-the-art studio. Thank you to Wendy and her design capability. We taught students from all over. We made instructional DVDs. I wrote a couple of books. One of our illustrious students, Kathleen Crocetti, made portraits of us with a little teeny weeny hot wax stylus pen. These are students from all over the world, from Australia, New Zealand, Tasmania, Germany, France, Canada, and Salt Lake City. I won a couple awards on the way. This is the beautiful photographs of Shmuel Thaler for the Gail Rich Award. This is the Rydell Award. So you can see that scale thing with, you know, coming from all that theater that I watched as a kid. This is my dear twin, Marianne Carson. Twin because we have the same birthday. I'm 20 years older. But this is a piece called Just Checking. It's my mom's checks that are all sewn together and dipped in wax, shown at the Santa Cruz County Bank. These are my family letters written to everybody in every form that I shred up and put together in this woven type format. Then I had a very astute, wonderful studio mate / assistant, Melody Overstreet, who would procure things that she knew I would love. These are library due date cards that she and I sewed together. And this is them all folded together so that they could ship or just have a different look. Melody also found Vans shoe repair tags for me right up the street from PVA, and this piece is hung at PVA. Gail's Bakery, Take a Number tickets that are all bound together. My Form of Book Arts. This piece is called OCD but Not Perfect, and you can see I really get into my OCD here. This is strung paper, and you can see the scale of it. They are 1/4 inch squares, and the whole piece is 18 inches square. Then a whole show of tiny pieces like that, along with big totems. Then I got into my boat period. And that was because when Wendy and Judy and I were in Korea, I think Kim was with us on that trip. On your far right, you see it's a wall of paper bags in a tea shop in Korea. And I just said, I have to do something like that. So I learned how to fold boats, and I did zillions of them and then showed them in different forms. And on the right, they're rolled up as sculpture. I've done some collaborations. This is with Lynn Mizono, who's a designer, and Gail Ortiz. Gail did the sewing, Lynn designed this vest, and I did the cutout with an X-Acto knife. This is Tyvek, and this was in one of the fashion shows. Collaboration with Linda Watson. These are railroad tie wires that we rusted and sculpted into lots of different forms. Then I went to Shake-A-Rag, which is in Sewanee, Tennessee, and I started doing these little totems. I studied with this wild man, Michael Brennan Wood. I studied with my dear guru, Dorothy Caldwell, in Toronto. These are wax and India ink books. I studied painting with Mary Jo Koch in Bonnie Doon. And this is my favorite tool, the number 11 X-Acto knife, in which I cut stencils. And Wendy was designing stencils for Stencil Girl products, and I said, ooh, I'd like to do that too. So what you see on the top row is photographs which have been converted into stencils. So the far left is shooting up through that art piece into the skylight at the Ma, and that became a stencil. And that same art piece rolled up became another stencil. And then the third one is a basket, the bottom of a basket, Mexican candy, or candy in a Mexican store. And then the far right are coils of wire at the old Orchard Supply. On our travels, I get inspiration for stencils. These are bricks in Southeast Asia, brickyard. A stone wall in Turkey. A wall at a spa in Morocco. An incense factory in Vietnam. This is the entrance to the art party in San Jose. And then you can see all those little fish fillets. These are photos all in Southeast Asia. And then we all bought watches in Laos that were made of fabric that didn't tell any time. Kim and I dressed in the local garb. This is in Mexico with the BBs and the Stabiles. And if you ever get a chance to hear Joe Stabile do his art performance piece with an orange, just definitely take it. Morocco. So the end of 2019, I thought that I would give myself an assignment, and my goal was to use up what I've got. And so I devised a collage every day for a year, and I had no idea the pandemic was coming. So I used sketchbooks, travel journals, my textile modules, greeting card designs, everything I had. And I did at least one a day. Some days I did 6 a day. I was so into it, and it was the perfect thing to do during a pandemic. It gave me a structure and a routine. I'd start everyone with my morning pages, which is a form of journaling. And then I would weight them overnight, and then I'd zigzag stitch them together. And I just thought, oh my goodness, the back is really interesting too. And then I noticed that the light was coming through these pieces where the needle, the sewing needle, had poked through the paper. So my guiding principles were: be kind to myself, use about the same format for all the pages. If my inner critic is present, escort her out of the studio. Don't judge, don't think, just make a collage. And sometimes I shred photographs and sewed them back together, and used watercolor and travel sketches and eraser prints. And I like to make prints out of people's names. So this is my granddaughter Elliot's name made into a repeat pattern. This one says impeach. And then I'll show you how I make them, starting with the morning pages going down in the alleys, and then something in the upper right. And usually they're kind of in the same color wave, or that one in the middle is the one that tells me what colors to use in the whole collage. They're done on Reeves BFK quarter sheets. And then Kim helped me to video all 365 pages in 6 videos that are each about 2 minutes long, so that you can see the front and the back, and you can see the whole thing in maybe 15 minutes. So there's going to be a link to this on the PVA website. So I won't do this whole thing, but last November, I started a brand new sketchbook that I work on every night while we watch the news. And I have been wanting to design fabric for years and years and years. And now there is a place called Spoonflower, which is a print-on-demand company that prints fabric and wallpaper and all kinds of products. And so this is my latest obsession, is designing fabric. And these are some of the ones. So in the upper right, you can see my sketchbook. And then below that is my computer screen. So I put it in Adobe Illustrator. And then the actual fabric on the left. I'm having more fun than a girl ought to have. And then what I'm doing for takeaways is I'm collaging fabric. I'm gluing down fabric and then as a collage element, and then I'm painting a path to the fabric with watercolor, gouache, or any kind of paint I feel like it. And these are 8x8. So some things you may or may not know about me. I have a fountain pen fetish, and I'm always looking for the right blue, and I think I've found it. It's called Bay State Blue. I have art crushes, which I post on a Pinterest board. Kim and I love to have theme parties. So going across, you'll see the iris party, the green and orange polyester party, the stripe party on the next row down, the yikes, dykes and stripes party, the dress like your pet party, and the clashing patterns and pie potluck. I love this man, R.R. Jones. He is an extraordinary photographer, and he knows how to photograph everything, especially artwork. So I'm really happy that with each series that I've done, I've taken it to him and had him document it. I know Carol is here tonight. Thank you, Carol. I had a show at her gallery in Pasadena. For me, gallerists are the ones who know how to show my work best. So I just turn it all over to them and thank them for their expertise. And the very best thing in my life is being a grandma. So this is before and then after, and you can see the after with all the masks. So that's what I got.
Blew my mind.